Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 11 of The Second Caution. I'll be your host, ESPN, Big Ten Network, and NCAA analyst Eric Olenowski. And today's guest is one of the most dominant wrestlers to ever step foot on the mat, not only for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but in all of college wrestling. He's currently ranked 8th in the world at 165 kilos, two-time NCAA champion, three-time world team member, Brent Metcalf. Brent, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. I grew up watching, not grew up, but I used to watch the Matt Dragon. Do you remember wrestling Matt Dragon ever?
Oh, yeah. Him and I had quite a few battles growing up.
Yes, those were my favorite matches. I can't tell you how many times I watched those. So, just when I had the opportunity, you said you would do the interview, I went back and I watched him again just because it was so exciting. But
that Dapper Dan was probably the best one.
Yeah, that Dapper Dan. I actually just got done watching that. I watched it twice because that role that you kept hitting, kind of a Granby.
I don't know what I was doing, but I had to kind of grind it out. You know, sometimes you figure it out when you get in hole.
Yeah, kind of a Granby system. And I'll use that as a transition to move into this next topic. A lot of people, when you hear of Iowa wrestling, you immediately associate. You have Brent Metcalf, you have Matt McDonough, you have Tony Ramos. But what a lot of people either have forgot or they don't remember or they never knew was that originally you weren't at Iowa your freshman year. You were actually at Virginia Tech. So Coach Brands ends up getting the head coaching job at Iowa after Zaleski leaves. And you then have to either come up with the decision to stay at Virginia Tech or move to Iowa with Brands. Do you remember when you found out that Brands was leaving?
Yes, kind of, sort of. I mean, that was that would have been 05, 06, so going on 10 years ago. But it definitely took me by surprise. And it was funny because I was there with a bunch of Iowa guys, and I don't know if they anticipated it, but I think that they knew that it was a possibility because they knew maybe what was going on in Iowa City a little better than I was, or I did. So I was kind of really surprised about it. But the guys I was around were it was good, I think, because I wasn't upset about his decision or anything, you know. I was surprised about it, and then I was like, all right, well, what are we going to do now?
Right, so you were officially tied to your letter of intent until the new coach came in. Is that correct?
No, we were, just via NCAA rules, we were tied to our letter of intent.
Okay, because
I think it was probably our scholarships. I don't know. I think letter of intent's already gone because we were already in school for a year. So it just came down to whether the school wanted to release us or not.
Okay, because I fell into a situation, Coach Earl Hall at Delaware State. I originally signed with Delaware State, and he got fired, but it was before my freshman year, so I was still in my senior year of high school. So when the new coach came in, he gave me the opportunity. He said, hey, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. Sort of what Coach Jackson did at Iowa State with David Taylor, just allowing him to get out. So yeah. I wanted to figure out what was going on with you. So they weren't allowing you to leave?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Oh, yeah.
To keep it short for you, this happening was anticipated. It was communicated, and we were told that they had an open release policy. So I think that put a lot of us at ease. When it came to how it really worked out, it was more you're open to go anywhere but Iowa. So, and obviously that's where we wanted to go. You know, we're not going to leave and just go to another school. So we had to make a decision, and we decided to, take the punishment and follow with Brands because ultimately that's what took us out there. There wasn't a whole lot going on in Virginia Tech at the time, and you can credit Dresser for turning it around. And I think he's done a good job with that program, since I've left.
So there was never an option to stay at Virginia Tech. It was follow Brands wherever he was going, no matter what. Even if it wasn't Iowa, would you have still followed Brands?
Yes. For me at the time, think about me, and maybe it's different for the guys who I was with because those guys were all Iowa native and even local guys, local to Iowa City. For me, I didn't even take a recruiting trip to Iowa. They weren't even in my top 5, so I was solely about brands. So for sure, I think if he goes anywhere else in the country, I would have wanted to follow him.
Okay, and won't touch too much on your college career other than what we've already talked about. You do end up following Coach Brands, make it to 3 NCAA finals. You win 2 of them. Now you're wrestling internationally right now. The transition from from collegiate to international, a lot of people said Brent Metcalf's style is not going to transition to international wrestling. It's just not going to fit. He just pushes not a lot of offense. You have proved everyone wrong. What has the transition been like moving from college to international?
Well, number one, I don't really give a darn what anyone has to say about my wrestling style. And I think that I've proved that I have plenty of offense with the amount of points that I put up in my college career. And two, how I am continuing to do that internationally. But I don't really need to defend myself either. What do I say to that? I think that I'm happy about where the rules are. I think that it was a tough transition going from our college system, where I think that I did put on a pretty good display of wrestling, to the system that I was in with the periods and the point reset. That was tough, because you're not talking about a wrestling match anymore. You're talking about like 2-minute goes. You're talking about a situation where your points reset. So whatever I do, if I work really hard and I score 6 points on this guy, it's gone. So that you kind of take the mental, whatever you want, wear on the guy. Then that plays into wrestling, and it was more strategy in games, not games, but strategy that it wasn't my style. You talk about my style. My style is go out and wrestle hard and build your lead. So I struggled, I think, early, and I had some success. I did some good things underneath those rules because I'm a competitor, and I found a way to make it work, But I think that, I guess if I'm going to defend myself, I think that you could look at the results that you've seen over the past year and a half, 2 years, as far as scoreboard, because that's what matters to me. I know I've fallen short of what I've wanted as far as the World Championship goes. But let's look at the scoreboard when you're talking about if I adapt well to this style, and I think I do. I think that the change of rules has helped me a lot. It's brought a new passion to the sport that I loved, which is freestyle. I mean, when I'm growing up through high school, if you ask me, am I a freestyle guy or folk style guy, I'm a freestyle guy all day long. / Greco. I did a lot of Greco too. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. The transition was harder early, and it's been more natural with the rule changes because we're back to wrestling matches now, and your points count, and what you do in the first minute of the match pays dividends to the last minute of the match as far as your opponent's fatigue and his body and his mental state. So.
Okay, and you mentioned falling short at the World Championships. Currently, right now, I mentioned you're ranked 8th in the world. What do you have to continue to do to get better to reach that number 1 ranking? Although I know rankings don't mean much to you, but just continuing to climb the ladder as you've done in the past, you've said 18 months, just continuing to climb. What do you have to do to get those next 8 spots to number 1?
To make it simple for you, I got to make the world team, number 1, and then I've got to go and perform. I mean, you look at that list, and there's every one of those guys above me are guys that I have probably beaten, and if I haven't beaten them, I haven't wrestled them. And that's not an arrogance. That's me just knowing that I can do the things that I'm talking about that I want to do. And it's a matter of just going and doing it on that day. And regardless of what obstacles come in your way during the competition, you figure it out and you get through it. So I felt like I was in pretty good shape, not shape-wise, but I felt really good where I was at with my wrestling in this last World Championships. And some things happened and it didn't work out, so I've got to reset and continue to move forward. I don't think you make any huge changes. I think you continue to develop and build in your technical positions, continue to add to your edge, and do it again.
Okay, so coming up, let's move to away from, I guess it would still consider to be international, but on home soil. You will be wrestling along with Ketty, Ramos, and McDonough, all the Iowa boys, at Agon 5 on April 4th in Iowa City. Won't be at Carver Hawkeye, but it will be in Iowa City, correct?
Cedar Rapids, which is about 20 minutes north. Yep. So it's about the same thing. U.S. Cellular Center. So.
All right, so you'll be wrestling Aaron Pico, who is also ranked top 20 in the world. Was this a matchup that you requested? Did someone come to you and say, hey, we could potentially get this? What were your thoughts? Or how did it go about you guys booking this? Because, I mean, this is a heck of because you guys are leading it. So this is a heck of a, I guess if you would call it a card that you guys are headlining.
I think that you hats off to the guys that are part of the Agon club, foundation, whatever you want to call it. They kind of brewed it up in their head, and they came at me with it and said, hey, this is what we want to do, and this is what we're willing to compensate you to do it. And I think that I like where their head's at as far as trying to build the sport of wrestling and get outside the box. And I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I think that these leagues, or these, whatever you want to call them, talking about Flow Wrestling, talking about this Agon, talking about, was there Tour AC? There's something on the East Coast as well. I'm in support of all of them. And I don't just pick one of them, because for me, it's about advancing wrestling. It's about giving post-grads opportunities to wrestle. It's not easy to be top 3 in the country and be able to travel over to Russia and compete like I'm able to, you know. I mean, I'm blessed to do that. If we can have more competitions like this, or if one can take off and make it, great. If all 3 can take off, that's even better, right? So I think it's great, and they came up with it, and I can agree with you from a fan perspective that it's a good draw, you know. I mean, there's a lot of excitement on his end, and I think you can call me the old warrior, I guess, or the guy who's been around for a while. But I've been able to sit at the top for the last however many years, you know. So it's an interesting matchup, and I'm excited about it, you know.
So you call yourself the old dog. You're currently 29, is that correct?
I didn't call myself a dog. I called myself a warrior, and a warrior is much tougher than a dog.
All right. Sorry about that. Are you 29? Or you're 28 right now. You'll be 29 this year. 30 when the Olympics comes around. Yep. So you have guys in the most recent rankings for that just came out for March. I believe they either came out today or yesterday. They had Pico, Humphrey, and Oliver behind you, but all 4 of you guys are ranked in the top 20 of the world. These young guys they're chasing after you. What do you have to do to remain on top? You said you've been there for how many years? What do you have to do to continue to remain on top?
Continue to be motivated, which I am. Continue to remember what it was like to be those guys and how bad I wanted to knock off the top guy, and continue to do the things that I'm doing. You know, I believe in my wrestling. I believe in my system that we train in at the University of Iowa, or our Hawkeye Wrestling Club, sorry. And I know that I'm doing the things I need to do to, one, be the guy in September, but also, you know, win the World Championships and ultimately the Olympic Games. So, you know, does it make a difference, their age or my age? No, I feel strong as I've ever been. I don't feel like, I joke all the time, I feel like I'm in a 19-year-old body, you know. I mean, that's kind of how I feel, I guess. So, yeah, you know, like I said, though, just it's important to remember, you know, how bad they want it too, though, you know, that it doesn't just happen. You know, it doesn't, you can't just show up to the tournament because you've been wrestling for X years. You're going to win, you know. So be ready to roll when it comes around.
And you touched on the Hawkeye Wrestling Club where you wrestle out of. Big announcement coming out of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, and Terry Brand signing a deal with Nike.
Yeah. That's
very exciting. So congratulations to Terry Brands for signing that. Takedown Radio released that today, I believe. So I checked that out. That's great for the sport. I think Nike is, I wouldn't say fallen behind the curve, but they haven't. I would like them to do more, and it looks like that they're doing that. And Brand said that 23, 24 years with ASICS and now with Nike. So congratulations to not only him, but congratulations to Nike. We're running out of time here, but I just want to jump to a couple Twitter questions that we got for some fans of yours.
Yep.
We have Pasta Guy 9416. He wants to know, what do you think of Pico from a wrestling standpoint?
He's got very physical hands. He basically raised in a system, you could call it a Russian system as far as his coach. So focus on technical wrestling, and I think that he's a pretty gifted wrestler, and I think that you don't look past a guy like that.
You being a Hodge Trophy winner yourself, we got Benji Boysel asking, do you have any Hodge Trophy predictions?
I don't know. That's a good question because being a Hodge Trophy winner, I get a vote, so I pay attention to it more than maybe I would. And the breakdowns are starting to come out, and I think that initially when you look at it, you would think Stieber's the easy go-to guy, But my point of view of Hodge is that one season and the most dominant wrestler, and there's 2 or 3 other guys out there as far as pins and majors and the percentage of bonus point wins that they have that are probably ahead of him right now in that race. So if it's close, I think you give it to Stieber. But if heavyweight, Gizanowski, if he goes on a pinning tear, I don't know how you don't give it to him, as far as the Hodge Trophy goes. So we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting. So. But Stieber, he's a pinner too, and here's the thing: they got to win out. There's like 8 or 9 guys that are in contention right now, and there's still a lot of wrestling to happen. So we'll see. I guess I don't have a prediction, but I'll tell you that maybe your go-to guy. It doesn't seem like there's other guys in contention too.
All right, and we got one last one from Rage_Bronson. Who's the toughest guy right now in the Iowa room?
Toughest guy in our room, I don't know. They're all pretty darn tough guys. I think you can look at the examples that we have on the mat, and who's your favorite guys to watch wrestle. Going up from the lineup, you think Sorensen's done a pretty good job. Sammy Brooks is really putting on a great display of wrestling. Gilman has come on strong, and Clark, when he's scoring early, does a lot of great things as well. So I just listed off a couple of guys here. Here's the thing. They're all tough. They're all tough because they wear a University of Iowa singlet as far as toughness goes, and guys who are competitors and work hard. But ultimately, like I said, it's about putting on a good display of wrestling, and you do that by scoring a lot of points and building your leads, and that's the direction we're pushing these guys, and they've got it in them to do it. So we've got 2 more opportunities to prove what we're about.
All right. Well, where can everybody follow you on social media? I know you do a great job on Twitter. What is your Twitter handle?
Twitter handle is BH Metcalf.
Okay, and Facebook or Instagram?
No, I haven't quite caught up. I'm just new to the whole social media thing. I guess I need to step it up a little faster, huh? I need like a website. I need it all. But I started with the Twitter. Someone told me to get on it, so I did, and it's been all good. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Any sponsors you would want to thank?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, Hawkeye Wrestling Club, ASICS, Cliff Keen, for my sportswear and stuff, and singlets and headgear, and All American Supply. They do a lot for me on the side as well. Delmer mats, and Mills Wrestling. Mills Wrestling has new technique DVDs out, Metcalf DVDs, and I'm real excited about those because they gave me free reign to do what I wanted. So I put a product out there that was really me, So if you're interested in that sort of thing, check that out.
Okay, and I'll underneath everything for the show notes, I'll put if I can find the links, then I'll put the links below the show notes. But that's been it for episode number 11 of The Second Caution. I've been your host, Eric Lonowski. He's been our guest, Brent Metcalf. Brent, thank you so much. Alrighty.
Got it.